2600. So let's go through this one more time here. Let's just kind of go through some spots here. Okay, this is a flyby of the console. Obviously, it's designed to look very, very similar. It's not identical, but look very similar to the original Atari 2600. Not the 6-switch, but the 4-switch. Obviously, what they're showing here is that there is a cartridge port. Something that I've noticed that I was looking when I watched the video, and I'm on a pause it again when it shows the backside, but I don't see a SD card slot. I don't think this is designed to do that. Now, they've posted a compatibility list, but they haven't posted well, obviously, nobody has tried the Harmony cart. Like, no collectors have got their hands on this yet. So I think for the most part, they were only testing official cartridges so far. So we don't really know if it'll run a multi-cart yet. Okay, again, I just want to pause this here. You can see it is smaller than a traditional Atari 2600, but not that much smaller. And you've got the 4 switches, so this would be designed after the later model. I guess that's probably just a price cutting thing to not put 6 switches and only put 4. I feel like the people that would have an authentic tie to the Atari 2600 would, and if you have a nostalgic connection to Atari, I think you're probably going to have a nostalgic connection to a 6-switch Atari. I could be wrong, but there's probably people that just go, "Oh, it's an old Atari," and they don't care if it's a 4-switch or 6-switch or whatever. But I don't know. I just kind of feel like could have if they were going to do it, they should have done it like the original. My opinion. It probably doesn't matter to a lot of people. Another thing here. I can't tell if this is a render. I think this is all rendered, isn't it? This isn't a real. Okay, now we got the overhead. Now this is part of what I'm looking at. I see on the upper far top left on the back. Now, if I move my mouse over, I think it dims this. No? Okay. That looks like USB-C power to me. They've already verified that it uses normal DB9 joysticks. So you got 2 joystick ports. Now these are your switches for your difficulty because they've took away the difficulty. So you got your color and black and white switch here. You've got your select and reset here. But you used to have on the original difficulty A and B, you had them here and you had them here on the original 6 switch. Now on the 4 switch, that they relocated them back here. They're a switch that you don't use a lot, so it's not a big deal. Again, it's more of a visual thing. Here's your HDMI out, and then there's one other. Oh, I know what this is. I read what this is. This is a aspect ratio switch that goes from 4.3 or 4 to 3 to 16:9. So you can either have letterbox, you can have widescreen or you can have like a traditional. So if your TV doesn't do that, you can switch it right here on the fly. So Gornfeld asks, he says he wonders if the 4 switch is what he had. So they made, the 6-switch, the heavy 6er was so rare. Not many people had heavy 6er. And then they went to what we call the light 6er. And then they went to the 4 switch, right? And then they went to the Vader, what we call the Vader, because they got rid of the all the wood paneling, so it's all black. And then there's a couple of different models of the 2600 Junior. So I'm a fan of the Vader. That's my from a nostalgic. I either like the 6-switch Woody or a Vader. I got the Vader because at the time, late when I was building my first retro room, I had an Xbox and a PS2 and something else, but they were all black. And I had the Amiga CD32, which was black. So when the GameCube, I waited for the black edition of the GameCube. So I was building I wanted all the consoles to be black. So I put the Vader up there instead of the Woody. Okay, this basically says, now the original Atari joystick was a CX40. This is CX40 Plus. I don't know if there's any difference inside. Maybe it's digital. I would hope not. So maybe it's different. Maybe it's not. But again, they have verified online that it is backwards compatible with traditional joysticks. So you can buy... and by the way, I see Adam in the channel, Commodore Chronicles. When we went to Boat Fest, I grabbed 2 joysticks for my demo to have things that both of them were bad. And so Adam loaned me one of his, I don't remember if it was a joystick from the Retron. Is that what it was? But whatever. But he saved my booty. So this is what you get. This is my payment back is I mention your name instead of like being nice and giving you $5 or something. I'm old now. I gotta save my money. I gotta get that AARP discount. Yeah. So I think Buck. The minute these things ship, people are going to be waiting at the front door with a screwdriver to pry it apart and see what's actually inside this. Another rotating render side. Okay, now let's talk about this thing. This is weird. This is a weirdo thingo. Okay, this, if you know about bank switching, and it doesn't really matter, but just know that, you can have different physical banks of memory inside a chip. So this is the cartridge that comes with it. It has 10 games built in, but if you look at it, it has these dip switches, and I don't know where the dip switches are, if they're on the bottom. This is it. The dip switches are literally right here. So the dips. Oh, no. That's Yar's Revenge. I don't know where the dip switches are, but, I don't know. I think it does because, they're showing how to do dip switches for each of the 10 games. I think it does have dip switches. I don't know. We'll have to watch the render to see if it shows all sides of the cartridge. But the way that it shows this, it makes it look like it to me. I don't know. But this is also where we get our list of the 10 games that comes with it. Yeah, there was a lot of bootleg cartridges that would do this where it would have, all the games on there and you would switch the dip switches and configure. So here's our look at what 10 games we've got. We got Adventure, Combat, Dodge 'em, which is one of my favorite Atari 2600 games. We're going to play that. I want to play that tonight. Remind me to play Dodge 'em. Haunted House, which was not a favorite. Maze Craze, I'm not crazy about. It was okay. Missile Command, that's a banger. Real Sports Volleyball. If you got to go like your top 10 Atari games, this would be in my top 2,500 million. Surround, Video Pinball, and Yar's Revenge. So I'm going to say this. I have many times I've seen these things like, Midway Classics, or here's the Atari. You remember the Atari? It would be like the plug and play Atari, the At Games one, or this and that. And you look at it and you go, who picked these games? Because there was so many crap games. You know what I mean? So, I would say if I were going to, and of course, they got to be Atari games. Like, they're not going to be able to put Pitfall on here. They're not going to put Activision games. They're not going to put, Magic games. It's got to be Atari licensed stuff. And then it can't be, Pac-Man, because they don't have that license anymore. They're not going to put Superman, although I don't think a lot of people will put Superman on their top list. I would. I liked that game. So, all right, hold on. Bucko and says it will never move from down, up, up, down. I got to see which one that is. Down, up, up, down. Oh, Yar's Revenge. Yeah. Yar's Revenge is fun. So yeah, exactly right. These are all games they don't have to pay additional licensing for or whatever. So that being said, like there's a lot of crappy Atari games. So this is not a bad collection. Like, and think about this, like back in the day when you bought an Atari, all you got was combat, right? So this is not a bad collection. I love Dodge 'em. I love Dodge 'em. Adventure, once you played it and you know how to get through it and stuff, like it's not, great or whatever. It's fun. Missile Command, I think you can play Missile Command for weeks. Missile Command's great. Surround's a good game with 2 people, if you got 2 people. We're going to talk about 2 people here in just 1 second. Video Pinball is another one. I mean, everybody had pinball. Everybody has a pinball story, and everybody has a story of breaking a joystick while playing pinball. Indy 500 is so good. This does support paddles. They're selling the paddles extra. But it does support them. But again, if you already have paddles, then you're good to go. And then Yar's Revenge, we talked about that. By the way, as a guy with an English degree, I always have to remind people it is Yars, Y-A-R-S apostrophe, which is how they have it written right here. They got it right. But the first game was about the entire civilization, plural of Yars, and it was all of the civilization Yars getting revenge. So people normally write Y-A-R apostrophe S, but it's not. It's Y-A-R-S apostrophe, just like they have it here. And then several years ago, 10 years ago, Atari released a sequel, and it is called Yar's Revenge, Y-A-R apostrophe S. So that's the sequel. Okay, I don't see dips. There's no physical dip switches sticking out of the top of that. But why would they show the dip switches? I don't know. I tried to pause it. I don't see dip switches. Okay, and then here we get a video of the games again. You can see there Missile Command. You can see Haunted House, Yar's Revenge, Surround. Lots of good stuff. I should have made a list of just these. Someone can remind me. Maybe we'll play some of these here in a minute. Now, here's something interesting. You ready? Compatible with original Atari 2600 and 7800 cartridges. That's new. So maybe. So I don't know what's inside this thing. Nobody knows what's inside here, but a lot of people were excited. They were like, I think they use the original Atari chips or this and that. Well, first of all, they didn't. I could tell you 100% they didn't for a couple of reasons. One would be the HDMI out, which we all know you could get around, but blah, blah, blah. They didn't. But they're also posting a compatibility list. So if it was the old stuff, it would be 100% compatible, and it's not. Someone did found the list, and they've posted 3 games that are not compatible, that are confirmed not compatible. One of them is one of the other Real Sports games. I don't remember which one it was. Baseball, maybe. Super Cobra was not compatible, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So those 3 are not compatible. Okay. Here's another look at the back. Now it goes by so fast, but we already saw the look from the top. There's no S now there. I mean, there could, maybe they do one of those tricky things where inside the case, there's a thing where you could solder on an SD card slot or an SD card reader or something like that. But externally, I don't see it. I see HDMI. I see the joystick ports. I see the difficulty ports. And then, as we saw in the overhead shot, one side we've got USB-C power, and the other side we've got the display ratio from 4:3 to 16:9. So, okay, now, this is interesting here. It says 2-player action, but there's an asterisk, right? Okay. They've already dropped the price. Not dropped as in lowered. They've already told us the price. The price is $139, and it comes with one joystick. You can buy another joystick, and it's either $15 or $20. So I think like everybody that would possibly come to this stream either has or knows somebody that will give them an Atari joystick. So I don't feel like you got to buy another joystick day one, but gosh, those brand new Atari joysticks sure feel nice. All right. There's another spin shot here. At the bottom, I don't know if you could read that. It says requires additional joysticks sold separately. That's for the 2-player feature, but they do show the 2 plugged in here. More zoomy zoom. Have you played your Atari today? Again, I mean, there's the side of the cartridge. I don't see dip switches. I don't get the dip switch thing. But I mean, obviously, how hard would it be to make a menu when you plugged it in to say pick which of these 10 games? But they're literally showing dip switches. So I don't know. I'm confused by that. I'm confused by the dip switches. Okay, now, this says an icon returns run and jump, Mr. Run and Jump. So they're already teasing new games for the 2600. Berserk. Oh, and this is, this is the enhanced one. Now, let's take a look at this. This is the add-on you could also purchase. I don't know what the price of this is. This is the 4 games in 1 paddle cartridge. And also, we do see dip switches on here. They're showing dip switches. So I don't know, but we've got Breakout. You got to have Breakout. Breakout, Canyon Bomber. Let me see. Canyon Bomber, Night Driver, and Video Olympics. The Video Olympics is really like Pong Plus, right? Let's just call it Pong Plus. Yeah, I think that is Mr. Run and Jump, the endless run and jumper. Yeah, I think that's ported to the Atari. Now, I mean, here's the thing on this. Night Driver, okay, I'll give you that. Video Olympics, any game where it's a person versus a person you can have fun with. Surround is fun today. 50 years later, Surround is still fun. You and a buddy play it. Combat is still a blast, person to person, right? I think what you do immediately is you set Canyon Bomber on fire and you put Warlords in here. Why is Warlords? And the Warlords has got to be. Why is there no Warlords? I don't know. It says includes paddle controllers. And I was going to say what are manettes, but then it says include 2 minutes. So this is different languages. It also includes dos men dos paddle. What are those? It's just me being dumb. So these are the additional add-ons you can get in addition to that system. We got the paddle collection. I don't know the price of this. We've got Mr. Run and Jump. We got Berserk. And the additional joystick, which I think I read was either $15 or $20. So that's possible that Warlords may be tied up with licensing. Or say, you know what, I was going to say Warlords was an arcade game, but I thought it was an Atari arcade game. So I would think that they would have it, but maybe somebody doesn't. Oh, and I caught that at the end here. November 2023. So right before Christmas. This thing will be out. I don't know. What do you guys think? Are you excited about it? I'm like, I'm more excited than I should be. I don't know why. Now that I've turned 50, I just make this weird sound that's like a horse. I have 3 Atari joysticks. Anyway, and I mean, when you get to stuff like why am I excited? Boy, I am like a professional DJ, switching inputs, moving things around. Because why am I excited, or why shouldn't I be excited? Well, I shouldn't be excited because I have a Mister. And the Mister is now hooked up not only to this monitor to my left, which, by the way, I know that means on this monitor on the stream, I'm looking away from where I'm playing. I don't know how to fix that. I may have to switch everything over to the other side. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I've got a Mister right here with every Atari 2600 game known to man on this thing, right? So if I just want to play an Atari game, I've got it. It's right here. I could turn it on and fire up in 5 seconds, be playing any of those games. So that's part of the lack of excitement. Should be lack of excitement, right? And then they had the Retron, which not only had all that stuff, but also had SD card access. So it was like the perfect solution. So this is literally, I mean, you're going to have real cartridges. Now, spoiler, I have 2 plastic tubs out in my building. I have 300 Atari 2600 cartridges. So I could play those, including a Harmony cart. So I could definitely leverage this. But, oh, man. Then you start talking about, like the why. But listen, we're gamers. We're collectors. We can't let logic steer our purchases. We can't let logic tell us not to buy this, right? Like I bought the C64 Mini. I had to move my real C64 aside for a little bit to play the C64 Mini so I could play the games that I played on my Commodore 64. Why do we do these things? I don't know. We're crazy. So, am I interested in it? Kind of. I'm kind of interested in it. Oh, hey, Tintin has been setting up his Mister. And he says he's got his going. He just needs to add ROMs. Well, if you need a guy that has ROMs, I know a guy who knows a guy. So let me know. Yeah, I don't know. It's a hard sell. But now it just makes me want to play Atari games. And that's what we're going to do. So